He's a singer, songwriter, a native New Yorker, and the ultimate piano man. And I've gotten to know Billy Joel. Over the years, I've seen his shows, I've gotten to talk to him, I've gone beyond the scenes, I've partied with Billy Joel, and he's everything that you would expect him to be. He's had an incredible career behind the piano, but it's not only his music that has made the headlines, from accidents to lawsuits to several marriages and divorces. This is how the news covered Billy Joel's professional and private life through the years. We begin in 1982. By this time, Billy Joel was already a superstar with a string of hit songs. In April of that year, the singer was brought to the hospital. He had a motorcycle accident.
We're happy to tell you that Billy Joel is doing quite well. You may have heard that he was in a motorcycle accident today. A woman ran a red light in Huntington, Long Island, and ran into him. When Joel hit the ground, he broke a wrist and a thumb. He's going to be in the hospital for about a week, but the doctors say he'll be back playing the piano better than ever. As for Joel himself, he's in great spirits, doing fine. He does ask his fans to do one thing: stop calling the hospital. All the calls are tying up the switchboard, and calls to really sick people can't get through.
Just months after his accident, Billy Joel was back on stage playing his hit songs, even though he wasn't 100% healed.
Well, work is good for you. I mean, work is therapy. I mean, I spent all this time making this album. It was almost a year making the record. And it had been 2.5 years since I toured the States, so it was time to do it. You can't stay away from it for too long. And I wanted to see if I could play. And the only way to really know is to go up on the stage. You can play at home all you want, but when you're up on stage in front of people.
Now, how are you managing it?
Well, I got to tape up the thumb. It's missing a piece of bone.
So when you tape it up, you mean you're bracing it for you to play?
Yeah, and actually being able to hold it rigid.
And then what do you do after you're off stage, groan in pain for a couple of hours?
I stick my hands in the ice where they keep the beer. I never set out to be a pop star. I set out to be a songwriter. And then people I know in the music business said, you want people to hear your songs, make a record. You want people to hear your record, go on the road. One thing led to another and became Billy Joel, you know, and it's just funny. I'm not fighting it. I mean, it's great. I'm not complaining.
Where are you headed from here? And I don't mean on the road. I mean, what is Billy Joel going to be doing 10 years from now?
Well, I hope I'm not Billy. I hope I'm Bill at that point. I hate to be 65 and be Billy. You know? After a while, popular music or rock and roll, I can see it getting confining. You know, it can only be so long. You have to play it on the radio, and it can't be too controversial. And if it's got to fit a format, and you know, I've been doing this since I was 14. I'm going to need to grow and change.
Does it bother you that you're a hero to a lot of people?
That I'm a hero?
Mm-hmm. A lot of people look up to you.
Yeah, that would bother me. I shouldn't be a hero. I'm just a musician. A hero, you know, Superman's a hero, you know. Hero.
Billy Joel.
No, I'm a hero sandwich.
In 1985, Billy married model Christie Brinkley. She was his second wife. His previous marriage to Elizabeth Weber ended in 1982.
Singer Billy Joel is keeping the faith. Today he married his uptown girl, model Christie Brinkley. They did it on the water aboard a luxury yacht that sailed up the Hudson for a quick cruise. About 175 people were there, friends, family, including Paul Simon and the Stray Cats Band.
In 1987, Billy Joel was one of the first American musicians to tour the Soviet Union, but it wasn't without some drama.
Billy Joel has his plans for the summer. He and his wife, Christie Brinkley, and his daughter are going to Moscow. He'll be doing 3 concerts there and 3 in Leningrad. And 100,000 Soviet rock fans are expected to pay $10 a ticket for the concerts. But Joel told a news conference here in New York that he still won't even break even.
It's going in, we're going into the red. I tend to just do a lot of walking around and a lot of hanging out. We've allotted time for me to be able to do that. Yeah.
And Billy says that he hopes to do some late-night jam sessions with Soviet rock stars. And anybody who can't get into the concert hall might be able to hear it through the walls. Billy says the Soviets have promised he can play as loud as he wants to. Billy Joel is in the middle of a special tour of the USSR, and he wants everyone to know he is in charge of his concerts. He yelled at some of the Russians in the front row. He didn't think they were being responsive enough. And then when his film crew started shining lights on the audience to get some pictures, he hit the ceiling and his piano. He flipped over the electric piano and stopped the concert until he calmed down. The Russians didn't know whether it was part of the concert or not. And later Billy said, "Sure, it's a prima donna act, but I have to protect my show."
Billy Joel, the teacher? In 1990, this was how one of the biggest hits was turned into a school history lesson.
Billy Joel says he once wanted to be a history teacher. Well, now he is, in a way. His latest hit, "We Didn't Start the Fire," is being sung by school kids across the country. At the Glenfield School in Montclair, 6th graders are using the lyrics of the song to learn a lesson in history. Joel packed the song with enough images to fill a world history book. The kids in this class were asked to take a line from the song, research it, and make a class presentation on topics like Woodstock.
They did everything to survive, and there was a feeling of togetherness between them, and there was a lot of music.
Malcolm X.
Malcolm was expelled from school for putting a tack on the teacher's seat.
Harry Truman.
She had to wear thick glasses, and because he didn't want to break them and couldn't play games with his friends, he went to the library and read.
One student wanted to know why he had to do 3 people, Ho Chi Minh, and everybody else only had to do 1, so they did learn some things from this.
The kid's teacher, Gail Chichirsky, got the idea from her son, who sings the song around her house. She says pop music is a good learning tool.
They didn't view it particularly as a research assignment. It was just kind of fun.
Who would have ever thought you'd be listening to this song in school?
I didn't, that's for sure.
On a special audio cassette tape, Joel talks about the importance of history.
A lot of people tend to think history is just this drab series of boring names and dates that you just have to connect to pass the test. And really, history is a living thing.
All this attention has taken Billy Joel by surprise, but he's proud of it. In fact, he's now sent out a special cassette version of the song to some 40,000 students nationwide. On that cassette is a 10-minute talk from the history teacher himself.
It was a financial fallout when Billy Joel sued his former brother-in-law and manager for $90 million.
Well, a judge has awarded Billy Joel $2 million. That's just to hold him over until his multi-million-dollar lawsuit against his former brother-in-law is over. Frank Weber was the rock star's manager for 9 years. Joel's lawyer claims that Weber used the singer's money as his own personal bank. He says Weber secretly borrowed money from Joel to put into his own investments.
This decision really amounts to a first-round knockout. This is the beginning of the end for Billy's former manager, because in addition to the $2 million, the judge sees through all of the transparently frivolous defenses that he's raised, and I believe Billy will be totally victorious. This is just the first round.
Well, Joe is suing for a total of $90 million.
In 1992, Billy Joel finally graduated from high school 25 years later.
By all accounts, singer-songwriter Billy Joel is a huge success, but now he's also a high school graduate. He got his diploma from Hicksville High School last night, 25 years late. The school district allowed him to submit a list of his published works and speaking engagements to fulfill the English credits he was missing, and they waived a gym requirement. Joel says his missing diploma always bothered his mother.
Mom, don't worry, because now I'm going to finally pull myself out of this dead-end job I have, start working on a career for the real future.
Joel told his fellow graduates to enjoy themselves, but not to shy away from their responsibilities.
Breaking the law for a cause, Billy and his wife Christie fought for Long Island fishermen.
Billy Joel spent some time on Long Island today trying to make a point instead of music. Jeff Weiser reports.
This is the reason rock star Billy Joel came to this eastern Long Island beach in Amagansett to catch a striped bass. But he caught it illegally with a net to make a point and be cited by police for violating the law.
Well, I'm not proud to break the law, but I want to do something to support these guys.
Because state officials claim the bass population is depleted, the law drastically limits the number of striped bass commercial fishermen can catch. Current law permits only about 70 for the season. As a result, many fishermen who used to make their living this way, earning $15,000 or $20,000 a year, now only make a small fraction of that.
I'm out of the business almost.
Yeah.
I mean, my take last year was 74 fish, which I got $1,664. You suppose you could live on that?
Billy Joel is famous for his music, but the Long Island native spent his early years clamming and working on an oyster boat. He has several commercial fishing licenses, and he and his wife, Christie Brinkley, have taken up the cause of Long Island fishermen.
They were here before the tourists were, and it was their livelihood. It was a way of life. And it's what makes Long Island an island.
Billy Joel and the fishermen say it's a bad law that limits the number of striped bass they can catch. State officials say while they're sympathetic, they disagree.
We have to continue the slow, even course that we've been on to rebuild the fisheries. And unfortunately, we have to ask the fishermen to continue to be patient.
Billy Joel and about 25 other fishermen were given summonses. They're due in court on August 31st. Penalties could be up to 15 days in jail or a $250 fine. Jeff Weiser, Fox News.
Billy Joel's protest over fishing rights landed him another appearance in court. Jeff Weiser reports.
He usually plays the music, but on this occasion, Billy Joel showed up to face the music. The rock star and 19 others appeared at East Hampton Justice Court to answer summonses they'd been given for violating environmental conservation laws. The charges stem from the July 28th incident when Joel and others hauled in striped bass off Amagansett using an illegal net to protest strict quotas for commercial fishermen. The state maintains the supply of striped bass is too low.
We don't feel we're guilty.
Joel and the others entered not guilty pleas before Judge James Ketchum, who set November 25th as the next court date. The defendants' lawyers say they need time to file motions charging the law as unfair and illegal.
There's no way to commit an unlawful act against a law that is in itself unlawful. And it is our position, which will be developed, that these laws governing the taking of striped bass, especially as to commercial fishermen, are unlawful.
Billy Joel says he supported fishermen ever since he earned money from fishing while growing up as a teen on Long Island. Joel and the protesters say Long Island's commercial fishermen have virtually gone out of business ever since the state placed severe limitations on the number of striped bass that could be caught.
I live here. It's not a home, it's my home. And I'm helping to support them because they are a bulwark of the community. I think they actually define what this area is, and I think they symbolize and represent a lot of what made Long Island great.
But those who support the limits on the striped bass fishing say the laws are in place for good reason.
I'm not a scientist, so I have to rely on what they tell us, and they tell us that the stocks have not recovered.
Billy Joel is dead serious about this issue. He says he's been accused of being a publicity hound, but Billy Joel says, I don't need this to sell records. From East Hampton, this is Jeff Weiser, Fox News.
After 9 years, Billy and Christie, their marriage came to an end.
I'll tell you, everybody from coast to coast was talking today about a couple from New York that you would swear would never break up, but it looks like they have. Robin's here with the inside story for you now. Robin?
Well, John, Billy Joel and Christie Brinkley, the love story that began 11 years ago is apparently over, and it is a shock. They were the couple that seemed to have it all, the beautiful superstar model and the brilliant superstar rocker, a 9-year-long marriage and a beautiful little daughter. Well, tonight they admit they have been living separately for 6 months. They may have struck a chord, but from the time they tied the knot, Billy and Christie had to deal with perennial rumors of a breakup. But whispers that the marriage was on the rocks heated up in March when Billy Joel showed up solo to the Grammy Awards. Joel is on the road tonight, but in a statement through his publicist, the couple says they have agreed to an amicable separation. They say, quote, although we have been separated since Thanksgiving, we felt it was best to keep the situation private as we worked out the details out of our enormous love and concern for our daughter and our desire to protect our friendship, which is one of great affection and respect. We have been there to support each other during critical times and expect to be there for each other in the future. And tonight at this downtown AIDS benefit, the fashion crowd had this to say.
I'm glad that Christie's safe. As you know, she was in an accident last week. I don't know about her personal life. I just hope she's happy. Her marriage is pretty under the hat, you know. I mean, all I can say is they lasted a long time. 9 years is a long time.
And just last August, Billy Joel waxed poetic about his wife to me, saying she not only created the cover of his latest album, but has always been his muse.
I'm particularly proud of the fact that I have a marriage to somebody I think is wonderful, because what are the odds of that ever happening? I even dealt with that in a song called 2,000 Years. And the point of that was, after all these things have happened in the world and all places, to have ended up in a place where you were too. after 2,000 years, I'm here with you. Isn't that a miracle of some kind?
So what triggered the breakup? Well, a source tells me there was no scandal. It wasn't like one of them fell for somebody else. I'm told it was just the pressures of two high-profile careers and the separations that requires. My source tells me, quote, he still loves her, she still loves him, and you will still see them together. In fact, Billy rushed to Christie's side after the helicopter crash. It is a separation, and so far, no one has filed for divorce.
And so it goes. In the early 2000s, Billy found love again, got married for the third time.
Billy Joel, that's your line.
Keep reading now.
It's headed down the aisle again.
The Daily News is reporting that the singer just got engaged to his girlfriend, Katie Lee. He's 54, she's 26. What's the big deal?
She was a waitress in the Hamptons last summer, that's why, Len.
We're told he popped the question during their vacation in St. Bart's. This will be the third marriage for Joel. He was once married to supermodel Christie. Brinkley.
Third time may not be a charm. Billy Joel and his wife, Katie Lee Joel, have separated after almost 5 years of marriage. A statement released by their reps reads, this decision is a result of much thoughtful consideration. Billy and Katie remain caring friends.
From his daughter following in his footsteps to Lady Gaga's piano skills. This is what the piano man said to me when I sat down with him back in 2011. It was filled with a room full of admirers, but it didn't stop us.
Is it a little daunting to be in this hall?
Very daunting.
It is.
Yeah, I came here when I was a little kid, and it was the Smithsonian, you know, of piano. This is Steinway Hall, and you know, my heroes are all hanging here.
And now you're hanging here too, on the wall.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. What are you working on? What are you doing?
I'm working on thematic music, instrumental music, not songs. Although they are melodic, they could be songs. They could end up being movie soundtrack. It could end up being symphonic music. To what end, I'm not sure. I'm just writing. That's the important thing to me right now.
Well, that's great. I mean, you have somebody who's following in your footsteps, your daughter, Alexa.
Mm-hmm.
Is it more difficult for young people to get into the business and to be breakout performers?
I don't know how easy it would be for me starting out now. I think it's tougher in a lot of ways. The album format doesn't seem to be as viable as it once was. The music business has changed a lot.
What advice do you give your daughter?
Just be good at what you're going to do. She has a desire to act as well as be a musician. I didn't want to be an actor. I didn't think I was photogenic. So, which is why when he gets that close, I can do a little bit.
Stay back, Alan.
Yeah. You know, musicians, we do our things behind closed doors sometimes. In a recording studio, you could look like anybody and sound great. But when they see what you look like, I don't know. But
Alexa's gonna.
Yeah, she's a cute girl.
She's adorable.
Yeah.
She's been on our show a bunch of times.
Yeah.
Performers today, Lady Gaga. Can she play the piano?
Yeah, she's a good musician. I think the better the musician you are, the more of a palette you have to choose from, which colors you want to use, which brush strokes you want to use. There's a banquet out there, you know. I think the more you know, the better you can be.
Do you think the music is as good as when you were growing up and when you were breaking into the business? Because my daughter listens to you. She listens to the Beatles. She doesn't listen to a lot of the modern, the pop.
I tend to be predisposed more towards the popular music that I heard when I was coming of age, in my teens and my 20s. I tend to think, okay, that stuff was really good. But there's a lot of stuff I haven't heard. I'm not listening to pop radio as much as I used to. I listen to classical music now, mostly.
What's your favorite song? Do you have one?
Of mine?
Yes.
Oh, that's like picking my favorite kid. I can't, you know, I can't do that.
She's Got Away.
No.
New York State of Mind.
Well, it depends on what day
Piano
it is.
Man.
You know, if it's how did they behave?
Uptown
that day?
Girl.
Nah. No, it tends to be the more obscure songs.
Like?
Okay, the songs that were the hits, they went on to become doctors and lawyers and Indian chiefs. But you know, when you have kids and then it's kind of struggling and need help, you tend to pay more attention to them. They need more grooming and they need more advice and they need more love and attention. And there's some songs that are not hits. And So It Goes. There's a song called Vienna, Summer Highland Falls. They're not top 40 hits, but I
probably tend to like them a little more than the ones that were hits.
Do you mind playing a little something? You feel like playing something holiday related or something Billy Joel, a little something?
This is what my mother used to do to me.
A little something, something. I'll make you some chicken soup.
Billy, can you play the piano? Ma.
Look at where you are now.
On July 4th, 2015, Billy Joel married for the 4th time. He married Alexis Roderick at his Oyster Bay estate on Long Island. And that was the news then.
Madison Square Garden Walk of Fame. The Walk of Fame, which includes such past and present stars as Muhammad Ali and Senator Bill Bradley, and Elton John, was created last September in an effort to honor those special athletes and entertainers who have combined excellence in their field with memorable garden performances. Billy Joel has done just that and much more. Beginning in 1978 and through the final show next Tuesday of his current 6-night River of Dreams run at the Garden, Billy Joel has played to 24 sold-out houses in the arena. And believe me, nobody rocks the Garden like Billy Joel. It is truly an honor and a pleasure to introduce to you now the newest inductee into the Madison Square Garden Walk of Fame, Billy Joel.
Thank you. Are these your cards? Okay. Thank you all for coming. I'm Bob Kukowski, President, Chief Executive. Where's my cards? Anyway, I want to thank you very much for this honor. I guess you can tell I still have a cold, but I don't cancel, all right? I'll tell you a funny story. When I was a little kid, my parents took me to the old Madison Square Garden to a Christmas show where Gene Autry was singing. And Gene Autry had these 2 6-guns. I was a little kid. We were way up at the top in the nosebleeds. And he comes out and he goes, I want you to all sing White Christmas. I'm dreaming of a white... So I don't sing. I'm just watching. He takes out his... He stops the song. He takes out his 6 guns and he starts shooting them off. And he says, I said I want everybody to sing. Scared the hell out of me. I thought he was talking to me. And that's when I started singing at the Garden. So, anyway, I'm very honored to be here, and I thank you very much, and especially for this to be happening in my hometown, New York. Thank you.